been asked before, Dean, probably at this time every year, but can you just take us through the process of how something like a Regehr trade comes together?
Well, fortunately, we're at the stage, unlike in the past, that I think it was safe to say that we were really zeroing in on a certain type of player. So, certainly unlike 5-6 years ago, we went from, basically acquiring draft picks and prospects to, maybe a couple of years ago, we started looking for smaller additions to now your market really gets kind of finite because you're clearly looking for a certain element. And even though you have a lot of discussions with people, as a practical matter, you essentially zero down into just a couple teams. And the one thing about this whole process too, we were engaged fairly early, obviously, because it wasn't looking good for Willie Mitchell. And losing two guys like that right away, it's safe to say that I've been looking for this all year, So, I mean, you're looking at two big physical guys that were clearly part of our identity that have not been in our lineup all year. So it's, we knew it was going to be long term. So you could argue that this process started 2 months ago. It's just that, again, people aren't really willing to deal until this time of year.
Did the price go up as the discussions went along because of some other deals that were being made out there?
I guess so. I think that's what people generally tend to do, that they'll see what other guys go for and you kind of work within that framework. But it still comes down to, it might be a starting point, but it still comes down to you're competing against other teams. And generally there's two things the other general manager consider. One, the biggest price, and secondly, where, in this case, where the player will go. And then do you want them out of your conference? So those are usually the three things that enter into the price that, might affect it to a certain degree. But in the end, it's just like when a player signs as a free agent, the general manager is probably going to take the most he can, and you hope to outbid people. So.
It's a pretty quiet day today, considering you had deals the last couple of days, as far as anything heating up this morning.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's anything, we like our team. It's, it's just that filling those two holes. I mean, I don't, this group here is, and I think I've said this to you guys several times here, the hardest part about this wasn't the player trade. It's making sure we keep this group together. And I think I've made it clear numerous times that the way this cap is coming down next year, when we have 6 young players up for contract, causes this to be a physics project. So of the players I looked at in making this deal, I spent way more time evaluating our cap and keeping this group together than I actually did evaluating the player. And that's not taking anything away from the work on the player. But we knew we were going to get to this point someday. I mean, you said it time and time again, build slowly with young players and the thought of keeping them together. But we certainly, this CBA really hurt in terms of us having to adjust, because we certainly didn't plan a dramatic decrease. And then, like I said, we have $6 million in space. We brought this team back. We can't use, and so everything we did in, the last 2 weeks with Solly is we got more, physics projects going on the board than MIT in terms of trying to figure out how to make sure we keep our own. And so that certainly also had an impact on your market too. So you're balancing the players, and then you say, wait a minute, you don't want to get in a situation where, okay, I'm paying this to get the player, but then I'm going to pay another tax in the summer because I can't keep another player. So actually your price could increase dramatically if you don't get, aren't cognizant of that. And so that it was, and that's why I think that's the other reason this is a really good fit for us. I think with Robyn, clearly that element he brings is something that we need to add to the mix. And I think you put Greener back in this lineup, now you have that mix of puck moving and hard to play against. And So he's a great fit from that. And I think, hopefully, I think, you know, that I think there's a good chance that we can retain him. And, you know, I think we got a lot going for us. And so this wasn't looked at as just a player for a rental. We're looking at this as a guy that can fit with us for a number of years here. So, but it still had to work for us in terms of the whole. So, I mean, I just feel so strongly. I think you know this group. I mean, you know, through the process, yeah, at times you get frustrated, but there's no question they care about each other. And time again, I've seen them, the way they stick together through tough times. And you want to do everything you can to let them grow together. I think you've heard me talk, you know, about culture, and quite frankly, you know, and this has always been in the back of my mind. I mean, first you need stability and continuity, then you get an identity, and then you have culture. But if you don't have the first one, you're not going to get the culture. And culture takes time, you know, and the only way you're going to do it is keep a bunch of good players together that care about each other, learn through the ups and downs, and learn to win. And that's a culture. And that's not going to happen in 1 year. It's a process, just like we're just starting to get an identity now. There's another step here. And if I have to start pulling guys out of that room and you take away the stability and continuity, now you back the whole thing up. And that was very much in the back of my mind, that there's an emotional bond and step that we need to take as a franchise. And if I start ripping the guts out of it or whatever and start, you know, getting away from continuity, we're never going to get there, and you're going to end up like everything else. You get mediocrity, back to 500 or whatever, like everything. It's harder and harder in this day and age. That's what caps are designed to do, bring everything to the medium and constant changes. Well, you're never going to get a team with culture if that's going on. And so I think I've made that, you know, I've been consistent with that. As the first year I've really faced the challenge of trying to improve the team and keep them together, but it's always in the back of my mind. So when I talk about this deal, it's very much not just the player, it's this other thing that's in the back of my mind that, you know, requires, you know, is very important, I think. So
it may seem obvious, Dean, the evaluation part made easier because of Darrell's relationship.
Oh, no question. Well, what you get there is now, just like with Carter and Richards, I mean, you guys, you know, at times, you know, you do your digging to find out about a player, but we don't have to do that. You know, this guy's character's off the charts. He is no picnic to play against. And the other thing, you know, I know, you know, from your own locker room that in the end the players know. And, you know, I think this is a guy you'd rather have on your side than have to play against him. And I think, again, left shot, and, you know, we're blessed with obviously some really good young defensemen, you know, in the way Muzzin's come on. So, but we still need that element that guys like Robyn and Greener and Willie Mitchell bring, you know, so.
A month ago or so, you had talked about starting the talks with Scuderi about it, an extension.
Yeah, I think what we had to do is, I think you'll see us now, and actually we just started this afternoon. We kind of went back to the drawing board here and see the dominoes, so I think we'll start. We got an idea now of what we can do to try and keep these guys together. So you have an issue, so you got these young players up, and so now you say, okay, you got to do the balancing act. The less term you give, you probably can keep it down to keep the veterans, so you got to do this balancing act now between the advantages of term, but also keeping the other pieces. And we were kind of unsure, obviously, going through until, you know, now we've done this. Okay, now we know what we want to do, so let's start working on this. So I think, you know, Solly's going to finally earn his money here this year. So.
You had mentioned earlier that Carter or Richards, the two big contracts, you weren't even interested in buying those out when that was talked with you about in January.
Buy them out?
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah.
No. Whoever asked me that?
In January at the press conference, it was just a general conversation about teams using the buyouts. It wasn't specific that you were interested. You said you didn't plan on using that buyout clause.
No. No, I mean, with those guys? No.
It was a general question.
Oh, well, no.
With Willie Mitchell's situation, would you now consider using the buyout?
Well, I think I think what we know now, and that's, you know, that's the next thing we got to zero in on. You know, I've kind of been just like you asked about the contracts, I'm kind of been looking at it, and like Willie went to see another doctor, we know, so I've got to get all the information now. The one thing we do know is he's done for the year, which is kind of always hanging out there. In terms of his career, that's what I think we have to figure out now, where he is health-wise in terms of his career. So once we have that, and I think, we're going to have a discussion this week with all the doctors and Willie and try and sort through this thing. So I don't think that's the first issue is to see where we are in terms of him playing again, and then we can decide what to do. Obviously if he's going to come back, great. But I'm not sure it's how viable that is based upon my preliminary stuff. But again, I'll know more on that by the end of the week.
Because he's had the 2 surgeries now.
Yeah, and I think, without going into detail, like I said, at least we got some finality that he's not coming back this year. Now I'm getting some information, and I don't like speaking to it because I don't have it all, but I guess it's safe to say there would be a legitimate concern now whether he plays next year. But that could be premature. Let's just say now, though, it's possible, where I wouldn't have thought it possible. Like we always thought, okay, if we don't get him this year, this isn't serious. But apparently some other things might have shown up. So, but until I get the whole story, I probably should hold off. So,
Dean, were you close on anything today?
No, there's no. I think with I like our team, and I think we addressed our biggest need. And you see Matt Green in there, so that's going to be, we get him back, that's like getting a player for nothing now. I didn't see anything that was really going to improve us. Our depth, up front with Toffoli and Brad Richardson, we forget about him, but he's shown he's a good depth player, so there wasn't really anything there that made sense in terms of an upgrade, let alone then get to the part where if you upgrade, what's it going to do to your cap and everything else. I mean, the other thing we're able to do on this that I really liked, and I'm how I feel about this, that we got 10 picks in this year's draft. You never want to lose sight of that part. We don't have a first rounder, but we're going into this. We were able to keep this nucleus, get this piece here, and have 10 picks going in next year's draft. So our eye going forward, we haven't sold the farm by any stretch. I think we got the space to keep our young players, and hopefully add, like I say, add the right veterans here going forward also. So. Now it's up to our scouts to hit in the middle rounds. I mean, we got a lot of swings in there, so we'll keep the supply line going. That's about. But that's the other thing too. Like when you underestimate, those picks coming up overall. So okay, you get Regehr and the 5th rounder for Trubisky because you got the depth. Then you look at your list, and we got 3 4s, 2 5s, 2 7s. We're in good shape there, and that's unusual for a team that. Coming off the success we had last year, generally you got to empty the store a little more. So I think we're in pretty decent shape. So.
How important is it to get a first rounder back this year?
Well, I think if you look at it, I mean, obviously you got to pay. I mean, we were fortunate last year, actually, like we were going to pay it last year, this year, and they didn't take it because it fell to 30. But actually, the kid we got is really done well. So we actually probably lucked out there, to get this kid Pearson in the 30th pick. He's got a good chance.
A little concerned though when he came back from the injury. He was
it wasn't. Yeah, it's but it's not structural. So they say that was the biggest thing. But that's you can't predict that. And he's still a young lad. He's got to get in shape and everything. But that whole line down there, like we really sucked the lifeblood out of him this year between losing players on waivers and trades, and now we've got another wave coming in. But that one thing that was good about it is because, we lost a lot of guys. You don't like losing them. But the benefit of it was Toffoli, Vey, and Pearson became the top line, and teams all keyed on them. So they learned to play in a tough environment, where if we had all the players there we probably would have had, they fall to the 3 hole where generally you break them in. but they're not getting the focus, but they're arguably our best players, but they're still very young. They moved right to the top, and if you went down there, you see they're going right after them. And that's a good sign, because teams know that these are three good, and they handled it, you know, and they've come, Linden Bay's come a long way. And so that was, you know, that was the good point of having, you know, the 3 20-year-olds on the same line, but they're drawing the toughest checkers and everything else, and they're going after them, and they're holding up, you know.
Bay's come a long way because of the move back to center, or just
clearly becoming a pro. You know, it's the same thing as Tyler. You know, his first thing after the draft, couldn't do one push-up or pull-up and was proud of it. It's like, what do I got to do this for, you know? So it's a tribute to the development guys, what you see is maturity as a man as much as a player. And what happened is they're pushing each other. Because Tyler has figured it out, and then Linden, who's, you know, you got 2 kids here, one that's leading scorer in Ontario, right? The other was leading scorer in the West, so you got a little bit of this going. You're not going to beat me. Now Tyler decides to start working, I'll stay with him. And that's kind of what you like to have. And Pearson kind of figured out the work because he went through a draft. So we actually started figuring out, I got to get back to working a little too. But you look at their bodies, they're a long way from being men. But the point is, they get it. And then Toffoli comes in here now and sees how hard Jared Stoll and these guys work. Now you got to go, and that goes back to my start this whole thing. That's culture. And so now, hopefully, but again, that takes time, and you can lose that in a hurry. You start shuffling guys in and out and stuff. So anyway.